Okay, let's talk about organizing tips and things you can do to help reduce a little bit of time on your preps, especially if you're one of those people that claims that you don't have enough time. In all actuality, you really do. So, first of all, let's use myself as an example where I live, how long it takes me to get to the grocery store, and whatnot. So, it takes me about, from my house, it'll take me about 25, let's just go ahead and say 30 minutes to get to the grocery store. That's, unfortunately, a Walmart. It's not the closest grocery store, but the main one. So Walmart, let's say, is 30 minutes from my house. It's roughly 30 minutes. So just rounding up to 30. So 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back, say 30 minutes inside. That's an hour and a half. Now, that's if I want to go to Walmart. I can go to Lowe's if I really want to and spend the extra money at Lowe's. Not the Lowe's home improvement store, but the Lowe's grocery store. I live in New Mexico, and New Mexico has a Lowe's grocery stores. There's a few spread out in West Texas as well, but they're more prominent in New Mexico. Anyways, shit there costs a lot more money than going to Walmart, so let's use Walmart because it's cheaper. Hour and a half. So, hour and a half, no, they're going there, inside, coming back home. Let's say, when you get home, now it's time to get into a little bit of organizing. So, you get home, go into the grocery store, you can separate your everyday items, the stuff that you use every day, and separate those from your preps, the stuff that you bought at the grocery store to set aside for your preps that you should be doing every time when you go to the grocery store. Even if it's only a few items. I don't know what your budget is, so, whether it's 5 cans of canned food and a bag of rice, or 50 cans of canned food, 10 pounds of rice, 5 pounds of pasta, and 5 cans of beans, or 5 pounds of beans, whatever. You should be buying that stuff and then coming home and then separating the stuff that you use every day and then the stuff that you're putting away for preps. So put all of the stuff that you use every day in one area of the kitchen or house, and then you should have I would recommend having a separate area or separate storage system for your preps. So let's say you have an extra pantry or something that you store your food preps in. And you can put the beans and rice on one shelf, label the day that so on it with like a Sharpie or something, or attach a note to it with a marker, locate its expiration date, quote unquote expiration date. All food is required by law to have expiration dates nowadays. Locate the expiration date and write it on the note for that item. And above that, write the day that you got it. So the month, day, and the year, or whatever format you want to use. Write the date that you got it, and then underneath it, write its expiration date. So you can have like beans and rice on one shelf, your pasta on another shelf, your flours on another, put your spices on another shelf. It's just these things, it'll help keep everything more organized. You know where everything's going to be, and then you can even label the shelf. So, even though it's quite obvious you're looking at beans and rice, have another like sticky note or note on that shelf saying beans and rice, flour, spices. You can even go as far as organizing your spices to most used to least used kind of deal. You know, have your most used spices on one side and have your least used spices on another, or bring the most used to the front and the least used to the back. And just keep stocking up these shelves, but keeping the older preps more towards the front. That way, you can cycle through the preps, or you can rotate them. So every month, you can say, okay, well, I'm going to transfer some of the older preps over to my everyday use. That way the older stuff gets used and it's not going to waste. And in another area of the house, you can use, or in that storage room for your preps, you can do another shelf dedicated to medications. So, and another good thing that you should be doing is noting down the expiration date of medications and labeling what they are on, like on a sticky note or on paper or something. Label that shelf, what's what, when did you get what item, and here is what date that item supposedly expires on. And medications is a little different than food. Some medications you can use well past its expiration date. Other medications do not. So be very, very careful on what you're doing with your medications. Definitely make sure you have it labeled what it is, when you got it, when it expires. Also make sure you have labeled on it if you cannot use it after its expiration date. Make sure you write in preferably red marker, do not use after such and such date. That way you're making sure everything is safe with it, everything is good with it. It's there, it's labeled, it's there. And then obviously, guys, go in your preps, your room with all the preps, and just look through everything at least once or twice a week. That way, you're making sure nothing is expired, and you can catch anything that is possibly expiring. That way, you can rotate it into your everyday use. And the first time that you start organizing everything, if it's not already organized, it could take a little while. Maybe take a few hours. Maybe it takes half a day, depending on how much stuff you have and how unorganized you are. So maybe after that first day of getting everything hardcore organized, then maybe it'll only take an extra 30 minutes to continue to have everything organized, labeled, put up. So let's take that hour and a half that it took for me to get to the grocery store, get everything and get home. That's an hour and a half, and now that's just an extra half an hour, because I'm already organized, half an hour to label everything and get everything put up, because I didn't buy 100 pounds worth of preps that week. So that's only 2 hours right there. And in my last video, I said 72 hours. You're averaging about 72 hours of free time. That brings me down to 70 hours of free time. That gives you plenty of time to do projects. So now, let's say you want to build a smoker. You can, you have the time to build that smoker. You want to make something, you have time to make it. 72 hours, guys, that's a long time that, you could be using geared towards your preps. Use that time wisely. Get your things organized. And, let's talk about ammunition and shit like that too, and weaponry. So if you have ammo, if you have different calibers, like me, I have 3 different caliber weapons. So keep So let's use myself again for an example. Keep all my 7.62 by 39s in one crate. Keep all my 9mm in another crate. Keep all my 7.62 by 54R in another crate. Keep the magazines. So if you have multiple mags, then you can keep those in another crate, and then label what you need. Label them accordingly. So, let's say you are using the crate system. You have ammo in one crate, and then you have mags in another crate. So, you can keep. Obviously, you're gonna want to keep the magazines loaded. Some people might say, "Oh, don't keep the mags loaded because it can damage the springs." No, keep them loaded. They're made to do it. They're made to handle it. Keep them loaded. So you can, have loaded mags in another crate, but put those crates on top of the mag, or on top of the ammo, or under the ammo, or whatever. But keep those, let's say you have your mags of 7.62 by 39, and then you have a crate with the 7.62 by 39 ammo. So you can keep that ammo crate on the ground, and you can keep the magazine crate on top of it, and have, label the top crates 7.62 by 39 mags, and then underneath that you can have 7.62 by 39 ammo, and then so on and so forth. Really, really easy, simple organization tips. Recommend everybody doing it, because if SHTF happens and you're unorganized, you might not have the time to go through everything and be like, oh shit, where is this? Oh shit, that expired a month ago in its medication that I cannot use. Y'all have a good one.